All right, we're going to do an update for the Patreon, showing what we've been working on with 50 states of 2A. I guess you call it a book. It's about 50 something pages, basically a page for each state. And the concept is to get the Second Amendment into our hands, right? So we can start to figure out where it is we're coming from and where we might be able to take this whole thing. So the front cover is J.M. Davis Firearms Museum with the van and the tank out front. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that cover or not. Feel free to give me some feedback. The back cover at this point is some art that I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with or not, but it's the outline of the United States, and it's got a little table here, and it shows the dates on each of the states that it's available, when they got CCW, when they got open carry, when they got constitutional carry, hunting with suppressors, and a couple of them have state firearms. It's a lot of stuff to put on there, and when it's in color, it's a little easier to see, but it might be too much information. So give me some feedback. I figured to have something on the back, though, that's kind of useful, just as a glance, gives you an idea what's going on in there. But once we take a look in here, let me know if that's accomplishing that or not. So as we dig in, I don't waste a lot of time. So the inside cover is the big tree, or an attempt to graphically show all the people that have been significant in the contribution of our Second Amendment community today, starting back with the Second Amendment and some of the first militia acts, and then a couple of federal laws and some Supreme Court cases, rulings, and some import bans. That goes up and down the left side here, and again, this would be in color normally. And then these are all just the different cartoons of, I don't know, close to 150 Second Amendment advocates. And if you get really close in there, you see the logos of the organizations that they're either founders or participants of, and then the states behind them, and then color coded to indicate what type of organization they are. So a visual representation that's always growing. This is version 2, but an always growing representation of our Second Amendment community, the people who are active in these different areas. So then we get to the table of contents, basically a page for each state with a couple of pages at the end. And then some of the pages that didn't have a lot of stuff, I added some more stuff to the pages, and that's where the second line for the table of contents comes from. Otherwise, though, as it says here, this is Second Amendment history and firearms information in a state-centric format, so focused on states. Look forward to yearly updates with more gun history, and please let us know what is new and what we may have missed, because the goal here is to have an evolving archive, I guess. So you can see we start with the state, and if you've watched any of these videos before, none of this stuff has changed. We start with the state. Over on the right, came up with a little icon that is the state shape with the flag inside of it. So that works pretty good to give you an idea what the state shape and flag look like real quick. Right next to it is the order and the date that they are accepted into the Union. Below that is the state's Constitution's Second Amendment. So each state has its own constitution, and most of the states, all but 9, have their own version of a Second Amendment. Some of them are short and sweet, like Alabama there, and I think Oklahoma is a great example of the opposite. Oklahoma, I mean, they got paid by the word. There's a lot of stuff going on there. There's a couple of them where I couldn't even hardly cram it into the amount of room I gave it here. So each state has that kind of information, basic information. Then we get down to information about guns and Second Amendment. So information about open carry, what kind of permit they have and when they got that permit. Concealed carry, constitutional. We have a heading for suppressors for hunting. And if a couple of the states have a state firearms like this one, and we organize them, all that information towards the top. And then it gets crazy, because while each state is going to have some type of concealed carry, it's going to either have or not have suppressors for hunting and that kind of thing. The other stuff, as we get into them, each of the states is different. Some states just have a lot to offer, and other states I haven't been able to research much. So the first thing we get down after the state firearm would be the Second Amendment sanctuary status. And at least when I did the research on this, it's up to date. We've added things like, for example, in Montana where they did the Montana Firearms Act. We have that kind of information. But for the other states that have sanctuary counties or sanctuary cities, we have that information for each state as well. Hopefully, again, for some inspiration and some example of how citizenry can affect change, even when it might look overwhelming. So as we get down into the pages, we have information on all different kinds of stuff, and as we're growing the project, we find even more. So we started out with the inventors, then we moved to Second Amendment advocates, and we added those people, those individuals, depending on where they live now, right? Then we added the organizations and where they're based. Then we added the museums. Those pretty much stay in place. We have a couple of collections in here that move around. But we also have manufacturers. We have gun auctions in here. We have those different shooting sports. We've got the shooting schools. We have not every single shooting range, but certainly we tried to get the largest and the biggest. We have a list in here of both indoor ranges and outdoor ranges. We've got representatives and different people in politics. We have authors and their books, and probably more. So as I've been trying to fill the pages that didn't have a lot of information, I kept finding more and more interesting stuff to add to the collection. So there's a lot of information for a few states, and hopefully people will see that some states that might seem like they're behind enemy lines actually have added to, and or I should say contributed to, and given us so much of our firearms history that hopefully this will be a way to see that. So as I've been flipping through the book here, you can see how much information is available at this point for each state. Next, I'm going to go to my Patreons, and anybody who watches on the live times when we go live who'd like to participate, and we'll ask if anybody knows of any edits or anything that we've missed, especially for the pages that don't have a lot of content. But our goal is to have a participatory accumulation of Second Amendment info focused on the states, and to provide this kind of information in our hands so we can use it to inspire and educate others, and to just get another way to experience our Second Amendment. Once we get to the last states, of course we have Washington, D.C. in here as well, even though they're not a state. No taxation without representation. We've also got the state firearms just listed here. The states with concealed carry in order at the back here. Suppressors for hunting, constitutional carry. The goal is to make this thing a useful resource when you're having conversations or creating content. We'll have some information about our projects in the back. People have helped us by sponsoring this. We'll have some acknowledgement of that. Hoping to interview the historian of the DC project and add some information about those kind of projects in here. So we're getting closer to the end, but unfortunately I figure if I'm going to go to all the trouble of doing this, I want to make sure that there's not a bunch of blank spaces in here. So we're trying to add as much info as possible, but don't want to just do that in the dark. We do most of this, most of the drawing, most of the research, most of the putting it all together live. So if you'd like to join us, feel free. I'm more than happy to explain how the software works or how the projects come together. The goal is to get more content out there. Value your voice. The goal is to get us all to be quiet and to be discouraged. There's no need for that. We all have a story to tell. We all have a perspective to offer. Value it. Thanks to the people who support us on our projects. If you'd like to be part of that, head over to Patreon and check it out. Till then, I guess I'll just keep talking here for a couple more minutes, as I notice the timer here is about to knock over to 10 minutes, and that'll make the YouTube logarithm kick in. So we'll just thumb through the pages again, and feel free to pause on any of these pages and take a quick look. As soon as I can, I'll print it again in color. I just figured I'd wait to get a couple more things figured out before I wasted a color print on it, and then we'll have a color draft to go through, and we'll probably do that live. So that'll probably be a couple more days. I get to sneak some work on this every weekend, and then it's back to trying to pay bills during the week. So thanks for, again, the people that support us and give us the time to work on projects like this that hopefully will contribute to a new tomorrow. Let us know in the comments what you think. And as always, thanks for watching.